But I wonder where that real worry of other people's thoughts comes from. Like, because, in general society, that is normal as per se. Like, you don't really meet that many people that you can't tell that they're not doing something to please others. Not purely doing it for the intention of themselves, or at least, their loved ones.
Yeah, Alan Watts has a really cool story about his mother. He came home from school and the teacher had told his mum that he was misbehaving, and she goes, "That's not like you." And he goes, "That's not like me." And it was a paradigm break even at a very young age, because he realized the trap of allowing people to tell you who you are. And so if they can say, "Oh, that's not you," then you must be anchored to their impression of you. And when you think about it logically, there are people on earth that think I'm the biggest cunt of all time, whether I've met them personally, whether they just know me on the internet, whether I had a negative interaction with them, whether they remember it or not. I'm sure there was a point 5 years ago where I pushed in front of someone at the line, at the bus stop, for some reason. I was in a rush, whatever. I'm sure anybody following my car thinks I drive like a fuckwit, because we all think each other drives like fuckwits, because that's not how I would do it. And you're like, well, settle down, cunt. Really? Come on.
Because the car behind them saying the same thing to them.
Exactly right. And it's all this weird little metal box jostling Tetris game where there's danger involved and there's speed involved and whatever else. And he was thinking about it. He's like, yeah, people do actually tell you what they think of you, and then you inform yourself of who you are based on what they're saying. But if the previous analogy is true as well, then you're always going to be subject to the whims of other individuals. You never actually figure out who you are, never actually find out who it is that you are saying when you say I. And you can go down a massive rabbit hole on this that I've been doing over the last 12 or so years. I'm completely fascinated with it. The truth is that you'll never actually know yourself, just like a knife can't cut itself, just like fire can't burn itself, just like an eye can never look in itself. Like the real fucked up thing is like you've never actually seen yourself.
It's like a reflection.
For me, I don't actually know that my head exists, because everything past my eye line right now is like, if I close my eyes, it's black. But I can't see around the back of my head. I don't even know that I have a back of the head.
There's something else on
there.
there.
Yeah, there's some fucking weird growth back there or something like that. And so you think about that and you're like, wow, that is pretty ridiculous. And so you're contingent upon these people telling you that it exists. And so you're contingent upon these people telling you that you exist in a certain light to them. But it's only based on their perspective. It's only based on their history and their stories and their nuance and all those things. And so sure, if they're a valued asset and a really great friend and you value their opinion, that might be worthwhile. But where people get stuck with this all is where people throw away comments at them and they don't know anything about the person's life. They wouldn't take their advice, so they take their criticism. That doesn't make any sense.
Interesting concept, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Like you would only be pertaining to the negatives rather than the positives, or vice versa. And so I think what people get stuck into the trap of at a very young age is they get told who they are based on behaviors that they've exhibited, but that's not who you are. And because if you don't know who you are, and you can never know exactly who you are, depending on which theosophical things you read, why does that person get to decide?
Yeah.
And then so if they can't decide and that you can't decide, it's actually a really freeing experience, because you don't have to be the dickhead that they're saying that you are, because that's just their opinion. They're allowed to have it. So if they think you're a dickhead, that's fine, but it's much more of a projection of their internal world than it is yours. And so you're like, oh, okay, well, I don't have to get upset by the fact that you're saying that I'm a dickhead, because that's on you. And if you want to think I'm a dickhead, great. By all means, go do it. And social media is this weird echo chamber where all of that is completely just multiplied into it ad infinitum. It's crazy. I'm listening to a Huberman podcast at the moment, and he's talking about if you took away all the names and all the usernames and all the images, it literally would be like talking to a schizophrenic, because the swing between super positive and super negative is so like the disparity between it is so vast. Yeah. And it really is like that. You say one thing and people fucking chew you out for it. You get messages and comments and all this crazy shit. And then you say another thing, they're like, oh yeah, you're the best.
But even then on the same post,
Yeah,
you'll get that swing in just one post. Like if you hadn't, especially like if you said anything borderline political or something, you're going to get loved and you're going to get sprayed in one comment section.
And it's so schizophrenic. And so then you just don't take it seriously because you're like, I wouldn't negotiate with a schizophrenic. Why would I do it in real life? Why would I do it in digital life?
Yeah.
And the easiest way to avoid it, just turn the fucking thing off and leave it at home.
Yeah, so many people, it's just, I guess someone will be like, it's my job, it's my this. I'm like, sure. But you can also get better at post and just throw it away.
So much fun.
You don't have to reply to every comment. You don't have to even read them.
No, you don't.
I
recommend you don't. I recommend you don't. I've had really, really heartwarming experiences. And I've also had the vile pits of somebody being so pissed off that I'm doing what they wish they could do if only they tried. And it's very venomous and insidious. And you're like, that doesn't make any sense to me because why would I hate someone for my actions? What the fuck? What is wrong with you? And then you just giggle at it. You laugh at it. But there is some sense of my missus is in the beauty industry, and there's a psychological principle that whenever you speak to somebody and you're an empathetic person, which she is, you'll start to take on the energetics of what they're telling you. So if they're in a massive state of stress, you'll actually start to impart that within you. And I'm not the most empathetic person, but I do have that quality. And taking that on in some sense, whether you like it or not, whether it's infinitesimally small or large, it does happen. And so over the accumulation of maybe 10 or 15 years of those behaviors regarding social media, I can surely imagine there would be a case where you just go crazy. Yeah. For sure.
Well, if you're trying to, especially if you trickle in that little bit of a people pleaser sort of thing. So you get one comment, you're like, oh, shit, I need to change. But then you get the comment that comes back and like, no, you're amazing, that's good. You're like, oh, no, I don't need to change. And then someone else picks something. And it's just a battleground of constant like, fuck, am I doing the right thing? Or am I the right person? Should I be doing this or that? And messy.
Rick Rubin has a really good point on that. And he says that if you create things for people, eventually you'll become the servant of your audience. And it happens with bands. When bands are like unique and original right at the very beginning of their career, they get these like crazy diehard fans that would do anything to go see them. And then they start getting popular, and then the music industry comes in and they go, oh, it'd be nice if you just made songs that were more along this line because it would be more marketable and better for brand image. And then you lose those original fans. And there are some instances where you have to risk losing a couple of people for the betterment. But this would be for the detriment, where you're pertaining to shareholders and stream values and all these sorts of things. And you completely lose that creative edge of what made you in the first place. And in today's modern age, I think it's one of the biggest talking points. I think people pertaining to the other individuals and validation and likes and everything else. And it literally just is a response machine. Huberman was talking about it before. He's like, social media and the iPhone is kind of like a slot machine that just never pays out.
Head over to Jordan Checker Podcast to get the full exclusive experience.